While we were talking to Dr. Meyer, he had mentioned that you're the person to talk to about fossil records. And so I would just like to know, how does that point to intelligent design?
Sure, so when we look at the fossil record, what we see is not a pattern of gradual Darwinian evolution, where we see one type of organism very slowly and gradually evolving into a very different type of organism. Instead, we see a totally different pattern. What we see is the abrupt appearance, or what we call them explosions, of new types of living organisms appearing in the fossil record very rapidly, very suddenly, very abruptly, without clear, direct evolutionary precursors. So we see this repeating pattern from the earliest animal fossils in what we call the Cambrian Explosion, where many of the major groups of animals, what we call the animal phyla, appear abruptly without almost any direct evolutionary precursors whatsoever. Richard Dawkins, who's obviously a famous atheist, says regarding the Cambrian Explosion fossils that it is as if those animal fossils were just planted there without any evolutionary history. So, and this is coming from evolutionary scientists acknowledging the lack of evidence for an evolutionary history for these organisms. We see the same pattern with regards to the origin of birds. Major bird groups appear abruptly. And then when you get to mammals in the fossil record, again, you see the major modern placental orders of mammals appearing abruptly at the beginning of what we call the Cenozoic, with very, very few what we would call intermediate or transitional forms. Even the origin of our own species, the genus Homo, we're obviously the species Homo sapiens. We belong to the genus Homo, we're the species sapiens. But when the genus Homo appears in the fossil record, basically the human-like body plan, it appears abruptly, and in fact, even mainstream commentators have called it something like a Big Bang model of human evolution. Now, that's because the genus Homo appears abruptly, again, not showing a gradual evolutionary transition. So we see this pattern from the bottom to the top of the fossil record, that these new types of organisms appear abruptly without showing an evolutionary, gradual evolutionary pathway.